Giving good advice does not make you a life coach. And I say this with care and conviction because I was once there myself. My name is Lillian, and I'm a leadership and transformational coach. And I also train, develop, and coach coaches. So if you're serious about coaching as a profession, or you're looking for a seasoned and a credible coach, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Total Coach, for weekly guidance on developing your coaching signature presence, professional credibility, and inner mastery. So for years, for many years, I genuinely believed that giving advice to people was enough for me to be called a coach. I'd always been somebody people turned to for advice on life, relationships, or career matters. And for some reason, they trusted me, and by the grace of God, I was able to help them find solutions to their problems. And in many cases, it actually worked. And so, like many others, I assumed that was enough for me to be called a life coach. I honestly believed that I had earned the right, but I was wrong. And I only realized why I was wrong when a good friend of mine, who is an accomplished coach, said to me, "You'd actually make a real good life coach." And at first, I couldn't understand what he was talking about because in my mind, I perceived myself as a coach. I had arrived already as far as I was concerned. But then he went on to explain to me in detail what coaching really is and what I needed to do to become a good life transformational coach. And that was my aha moment. His detailed explanation changed my perception towards life coaching, and it also gave me an understanding that what I was actually doing, just handing out advice to people, was not coaching. And of course, there was nothing wrong with giving people good advice, but I'm talking in the context of how I was calling myself a life coach because I was not. I then grew a very deep hunger to professionalize my coaching. And then I went back to school, 4 years in academic training, and then certification, and finally international accreditation. It is a process to really become a good life coach. I understand that if I were, in fact, I understood that if I was going to step into a space where I was dealing with people's lives, I needed to do it with depth, I needed to do it with sharpened skills, and obviously with integrity. And I haven't still arrived. I'm still growing in this space. I'm continuously learning. Personal growth as a coach never really stops. In fact, as coaches, we never arrive. Professional coaching demands that we engage in our own coaching process. It is not optional, it is actually essential as a life coach. Mastering the art of coaching requires intentional, lifelong refinement, often working with one or more experienced coaches who help us develop our coaching signature presence. And it is that depth, that self awareness, and intentionality we bring into every engagement with our clients. And it needs to be refined continuously. Every coaching session is different. Personally, I work with a number of coaches who coach me, depending on the area I need to strengthen at any given time. And this is a deliberate investment in my own craft as a coach. And I'm very grateful to my coaches, their support, their insights, the way they challenge me has been instrumental in shaping my growth and enabling me to evolve as a leadership and a transformational coach. So, folks, giving advice does not make you a coach. It is not sustainable, also, and it is not said with judgment. Yeah, I say it with honesty. If we look at coaching space, it is growing and it is booming, and that's a beautiful thing because it actually tells us that people are hungry for growth. They are hungry for healing, and people are just looking for direction in their lives. Life already is complex and it is demanding, and research in the coaching space continues to show us a growing number of individuals that are actively seeking support in navigating this thing called life. Many are turning to coaching because of its transformational potential, its transformational nature, and its ability to create clarity that people are looking for in life. People are not just looking for advice, they're often standing at the edge of something that they want to navigate, those decisions that will shape their lives, their careers, and their sense of self. And in those moments, what they need is not somebody to tell them what to do. They need somebody who can hold the space, ask the right questions, and help them find their own clarity. That is the difference. This is precisely why we must approach coaching with its seriousness and the responsibility it actually deserves. Coaching is not a space for guesswork or a space for untrained practice. When coaching is done without the backup of a clear understanding of the profession and that ethical grounding, it creates serious consequences. I'm sure you've heard of people who say coaching doesn't work because they're still sitting with the same problem that they sought help for. And please don't get me wrong. There are also some trained coaches who are just as bad coaches out there. That's why it is important to do a background check of a life coach before you engage with them. Get those reviews, ask questions so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Please do not enter into a coaching conversation blindly. The wrong coaching relationship can leave you more confused and emotionally drained than before. But in this conversation, we are talking about those individuals who are calling themselves life coaches without proper training or the skills that are required to be a coach, because it can damage people and the profession itself. It can cause real harm emotionally, psychologically, and professionally. Any profession that deals with people's lives carries a profound responsibility, and that responsibility requires proper training. So we need to call it out, but we need to do it so responsible and constructively. This is not about gatekeeping. It's about accountability and care for those we serve. It's also about protecting and preserving the integrity of the profession. When coaching is done well, it can be a game changer in people's life. It can change people's life, and it can restore clarity and unlock the potential that people didn't even know they had. And that is why this work cannot be taken lightly. We therefore have a responsibility not just to practice coaching, but to protect it as well, and to help people understand what credible coaching is like. We need to give them the tools to engage with confidence, whether they are stepping into a coaching or seeking coaching themselves. Because behind every coaching conversation is a human life, and we can't take that lightly. In my next video, I will be unpacking in detail the risks and potential harm when untrained individuals position themselves as professional coaches. Once again, if you're serious about coaching as a profession or as someone seeking a coach, stay with me on this journey and you'll be empowered. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, share this video, The Total Coach, for weekly insights on becoming a credible and an ethical and impactful coach. Remember, we are dealing with people's lives. To whom much is given, much is required. And to whom much has been entrusted, even more will be demanded. You take care and see you soon.